Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today is the video that many people have been waiting for. It is a little bit late. I've been really busy this week, so I haven't had a lot of time to grind, but thankfully with the help of my Discord community, we have some very good and detailed information on what is required for the new Super Awakening of Gear. So, this new tab that says Awaken now. 6-star gear, 5-star gear, 4-star, whatever star gear, as long as it's maxed out at the base level, you can now use materials to awaken it and add an extra little pretty star onto it. And you can go all the way up to currently on 6-star gear at Super Awakening 5. Because once you go from 4 to 5, it requires a platinum hammer, which currently you can only buy one, and that is in the friendship shop for 700 points, and you can only buy that once. So right now you are capped at Super Awakening 5 on a 6-star piece of gear. One singular gear. But today we're going to go over literally everything. I'm going to Super Awaken every single type of gear at every single type of level for science, or as much as I can at least. If I run out of resources, then we might have to wait on that. But I want a definitive guide and list on the materials that it requires, the stat differences, and if it's actually worth it. You know, going all the way up to 6-star gear versus maybe staying at like a 2 or 3-star gear and maxing that out. Because based on what I've seen, a maxed out 2-star gear, going all the way up to 5 and then Super Awakening 5, has higher base stats than a 6-star standard piece of gear. But is it actually worth it? Today we're going to find that out. So let me get some gear built up, and then I will see you back shortly. The first thing that I should go over in terms of Super Awakening gear is the most important one, and that is how. How do you Super Awaken gear? Well, obviously, we are in the forge right here, and the first requirement is that you have the necessary materials to make these pretty things up here. Spoiler alert, that's what we do later, because I'm recording this after the fact. However, if you want to Super Awaken, let's say, this 6-star ring right here, you would go here to the Awaken tab, and then it will bring up this menu that says Equipment Not Selected. You need these tiny flames, these medium flames, and these big flames. Minimum. The higher the rarity, the more it will take. Alongside that, your piece of gear, so this piece of gear that you want to add extra stars onto, must be fully leveled and re-rolled. And re-rolled. This thing must be maxed out. Full level, full stars, full stats. Now, there must also be a sacrifice. And that is why I have this whole list of other bracelets down here, because I can choose to sacrifice one of these bracelets. Now, the thing about the sacrifice is, it must also be the same level. So if I want to upgrade a 6-star piece of gear, I must also sacrifice a 6-star piece of gear. However, they make it a slightly bit easier for you, because the sacrifice does not need to be re-rolled. This bracelet does not have to be maximum HP. It just has to be level 60 at 6 stars, and that is it. So that makes it slightly easier, a little bit less resources put into it, but you still need to get it up to 6-star. So, for example, if I wanted to awaken, let's say, oh, where's Albus's stuff? So, Albus, right here. She has this piece of gear and this piece of gear, right? I cannot Super Awaken this piece of gear yet because it is not fully maxed out. It still has another star, so I could go here and it's not going to let me do it. Equipment that has not been completely reforged or completely evolved to its max level cannot be awakened. So I need to get it up to 5-star and have it be at level 50 before it will even let me. Now, if I do that and I try to awaken it, it's going to ask me to use this other gear since it is the same exact piece. However, I will not be able to do that because this piece of gear is also not level 50 at 5-star. Now, this doesn't have to be rerolled because obviously this one has been reforged, that way this is blanked out. This one is not rerolled, therefore I could reforge it. But reforging this piece of gear as the sacrifice is not a requirement. So you just need the main piece to be fully maxed, and the secondary piece just needs levels. So that's the first part. The second part is obviously the materials required. It will differ for every single material, as you will see throughout this video. But the main ingredients are these flames. Now, Albus is a different story because she's a free-to-play unit and they're giving us a free-to-play flame. That is from the milestone rewards in the event, which I think I go over later, so I won't go too much into that. But if you were to try and forge out, let's say, this glove right here, it's going to need 15, 5, and 1, and then materials to awaken it through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 star. But if you were to awaken, say, a lower piece of gear, where's that broadsword? I know I have it somewhere, because I made it as a test. This one right here. This one caps out at 5 star. So it's a 2 star piece of gear starting out. So if we try to awaken it, it takes, only 5 of these, and 1 of these, and no big ones. And the cost of materials to awaken it throughout the Super Awakening levels is less than, a 6 star piece of gear. These flames come from the tower, whether or not you actually go through and clear the rewards in the Tower of Isis, or if you exchange it using the coins that you get from beating bosses, opening these chests, and you go to trade in these number of coins by 200 and something right now that I have, you can buy these Awakening Flames, some at a discount and some at full price. Now obviously I bought these ones because they don't give you too many of these, and these ones I'm also running out of, but I need to clear more tower, and I'll buy more once I clear it and the shop resets in 10 hours. But these are the primary resources that you will need to awaken gear before you even get started. So that is where you acquire this stuff. Every other piece of awakening material that you need to use for the rest of the steps, you acquire by grinding Conquest, by playing the game, by doing, your normal things. Hammers, fangs, hides, feathers, cores, all of that come from Conquest. But these special flames right here are only available through Tower and the shop attached to Tower. Alright, so as you can see, I have made another 1-star bracelet. And if I try to awaken this one right now, it will tell me a couple things. One, that I do not have another piece of equipment with the same name at max evolution and level. So even though I have 2 of these right here, they are both level 1 with no stars, which means you cannot awaken it. The second thing is that this piece of equipment has not been fully reforged and evolved, which means that it is not currently rerolled. So we have to go in here and re-roll its stat up to the 504 part right here, level it up to 4-star, level 40, and then do the same to the other one minus the re-rolling, and then, and only then are we able to. So right here, okay, we've gotten the re-roll on the stats, so we just have to level this up very quickly, because, it doesn't take that much, all things considered. Alright, so let's go ahead and evolve it up, and we'll get it some more levels, and then this should be enough right here. Alright, so here we are, level 40. So, even though it is now fully evolved and rerolled, it still says you do not have another piece of equipment with the same name at max evolution level, which means I have to level up this one as well. So, we will evolve this. We'll use all these feathers that I've actually never had to use up until now because I have not made 1-star gear since the first week of the game or something like that. Not on my priority list, so not materials that I would have to use very often. But now we are. Alright, so let's get this thing up to max level. So, this is not rerolled because this HP stat 1176 is obviously lower than 1320. However, now when we go into the Awaken tab, you can choose this gear because this is max level with the same name and 4 stars. We have enough awakening flames to do it, so we have chosen this with our max reroll. We have gone into the awakening, we have the required amount of flame things to do it, and we have the worthy sacrifice. And now you can see that we'll click on this, it will include this together to fuse it, and it will add this nice little pretty star onto the piece of gear. So let's go ahead and do that now. And it checks, it makes sure that you want to use this piece of equipment, because for some people with many pieces of gear in their box that are all, 6-star max awaken and all that, sometimes you may choose the wrong piece of gear, because this could be attached, and this could be, a max rerolled bracelet or claw or someone on a different character that you don't actually want to sacrifice, because you've made a whole bunch of other ones, and you may have chosen the wrong piece of equipment. So this is just the catch, being like, are you sure this is the right one? You can click on it and be like, oh, okay, this is not fully rerolled, this is the piece of gear that I want to use. Or if it's attached to someone, to be like, hey, this is currently equipped to another unit. Are you sure? And you can say yes or no. So this is the check mark saying, I have understood the terms and conditions of the Super Awakening. Yes, I want to sacrifice this piece of gear. Let us move forward. So now that we've confirmed that this is the piece of gear that I want to use, let us hit OK, and we get this nice cutscene of it fusing together. And now we get, the nice pretty background and a nice pretty rainbow star. Now, the thing to note is, even though this is technically 4-star with 1 extra star, it is back to level 1, and it needs to be re-rolled again. So, that is something very important to keep in mind, is that Super Awakening gear essentially puts you back to level 1 with a higher base stat. And then it just increases your ceiling for whatever stat it is, whether it be HP, defense, or attack. Because you can see that I have this 4-star Super Awakened Ring and Dark Claw right here for Milim or Diablo. And even though it is 6-star, because, this is 6-star down here, this has 6 stars, it is technically only level 40, because it's going off of the Super Awakening stars now. So technically this is Super Awakening 4 level 40. When I get enough materials to add on to those 2 stars, it will once again be level 60. But you must level this up from level 1, and also you must re-roll it. Even though you re-rolled this piece of gear prior to fusing it together, you have to re-roll its new stat now. So now we are between 1320 and 1584, when before that we were at like 800 or something like that. So you have to re-roll this gear for it to be at the new maximum stat. I mean, you don't have to, but why wouldn't you? And we're close. So that was actually a good roll right there. Let's see if we can get it quick and easy and in a hurry. No. Okay, it's going to take a while. But just know that you have to re-roll the gear, and you have to re-level it up. So let's go ahead and level this piece of gear up again. So, we are at level 10. Now it wants us to evolve it to the next Super Awakening star. So awakening the actual piece of gear to get the pretty rainbow star, you only need to do it one time. You only need to use those fire, tiny flames and medium flames. You only need to do it once to get the initial rainbow star. And after that, you can awaken it like normal using materials that you get from Conquest, whether it be feathers, fangs, hides, and then for the higher tier stuff, you're gonna need cores and, silver, gold, platinum hammers. It just depends on what the base level of your gear was. How cheap will it be to awaken at that point? So right now, we can awaken this from 1 star to 2 star using just, 2 of these gold feathers, which is fine. But now, if I want to do it again, once I get this up to maximum level, at level 20, now it takes feathers and a bronze hammer. And then if I want to do it again, it's going to take more than that. So let's level this up all the way. Now it's at level 30, and now it takes 2 feathers and 2 bronze hammers. So the further you climb in Super Awakening, the more expensive it will be. So essentially, you are resetting the gear back to level 1, and you are just reawakening it. just you have increased its base stat to be higher than what it previously was before as a normal 4-star piece of gear. Another thing to keep in mind if you're really hurting for vitality potions in Tower is that there are a few missions revolving around awakening lower tier gear. And this, I think, is to help out some of the newer players who are trying to awaken their 1-star and 2-star gear. So awaken equipment with initial rank of 1-star, 10 of them, which is enough to, outfit, a weapon for each of your units, frontline and supporters. And then awaken equipment with initial rank of 2-star, and then 3-star, and then I think I've done another mission already. But this will help people, get a little bit better gear starting out, and also allow them to grind Tower a little bit more to gain the materials required, the flames, to awaken the gear. And I think this is nice. This is good. Is it a waste for a lot of higher tier players to, throw their resources in awakening 1-star and 2-star gears? It's kinda maybe, but I mean, vitality potions are vitality potions, and Tower stamina is hard to come by. 1 point every 3 hours is not great, so if you got, these give you 5 stamina each, then hey, it's extra stuff to let you go beat more bosses, to go farm more stuff. And 1-star equipment really doesn't take that much. It takes bronze hammers, and if you're endgame, then you have a surplus of bronze hammers, a surplus of silver hammers, and this is awakening normal stuff. This is awakening 6-star gear right here. Initial rank of 3-star is all your typical standard gear at this point for high tier players. So these missions will be able to be accomplished pretty easily as long as you remember that they exist. So here's the knowledge that they exist. Alright, so the next section of this video is going to talk about, should you awaken 4-star or 5-star gear over making normal 6-star gear? Do the stat buff from the Super Awakening on these lower level pieces actually give you more than a base, 6-star claw or a 6-star jacket? So let's go over that really quickly. So the 4-star bracelet, maxed out, 2346 right here, alright? And then the maxed out 5-star is 2901. Now, an accessory that is 6-star base level gives us 2514, so definitely less. 2514, 2901 for the 5-star, and 2346 for the 4-star. So, quite a big jump between the SA5 gear and the base 6-star. 400 points almost, 413 points jump. But this is, again, not Super Awakened, because if I go to a Super Awakened piece, we're now at 3953. And now we're 1,000 points plus higher. So, can't really count that. But the cost of Super Awaken, or getting, 6-star gear is quite high. And the cost of getting Super Awakened 4-star gear is not very high. And the cost for Super Awakening 5-star gear also is a little bit more difficult because it does require silver and gold hammers, which, 6-star gear already requires anyways. But let's take a look at a unit and we'll compare the stat differences. So let's go into my box real fast and let's click on Shizu, and she's the first one. And you can see that I have the 5-star Super Awakened jacket and book of Catastrophe already. And so her attack stat is 3745 and her defense is 4560. She has a very low attack stat just naturally, so that's fine. And defense is 4560, which is, pretty good. But this is Super Awakened 5 gear. And as we can see right here, let me bring it over. So here are the differences right here. So max Super Awakened 4 gear, 2346, 942, and 391 for the weapon. 5-star gear, 2901, 1167 for armor, and 484 And then the base 6-star, armor is 990 for the armor versus 1167. So already that's, you know, a decent jump right there. But you get that extra 10% boost if you attach it to a same type unit. And this 10% is not 10% of 990. It's 10% of the actual character's defense. And so, while 1167 is technically higher at 375, if we were to take that off and change it to an actual 6-star fire coat, you'll see that her defense jumps up to 4682 with that extra 10%. So we've already jumped over the threshold that we would normally get from the Super Awaken 5 jacket. So that already right there makes it more valuable and less expensive. And then the book, now the book, if you attach this book to a unit that already uses books, you will get that 20% extra increase for just having the same type weapon. But Shizu is not. It's going to be, you know, pretty generic right there. Because you can only make the book at 5-star. It's only the book weapon. You can't make a 5-star sword. You can't make a 5-star fist. You can only make the book. So, well, because it starts out as 2-star. That's why. 2-star book, quote unquote. You guys know what I'm talking about. But if we were to change this to, you know, an actual dedicated weapon for herself, so let's say a fire book, you know, even that, a fire book. She still gets that 20% increase because, or no, 10%, right? Yeah, 10% because she's attached to a fire character. So now it's 3975, and before that it was 3745. So already a very big jump. And then if we were to, you know, add her fire sword, it's now 4059. So definitely not worth trying to Super Awaken a book to attach to a unit for just pure stats, because the extra bonus stats that you get is way high, because you get this 10% from the sword, and then you get 20% increase, or 10% for you know, the weapon. So you get 10% and 10%. So definitely, if you're just starting out, if you're just starting the game and you have some flames, I think it would be worth it to maybe Super Awaken your 4-star gear, because it's relatively cheap and not hard to do. You know, you need bronze hammers, feathers, and gold, and then whatever it is to actually make the 4-star gear. So that's not bad at all. And the stat buffs that you get are decent. I don't recommend going like super crazy and Super Awakening everything for 4-star, maybe just your mainline units. But it's a good start to give you that big boost in power, because the stat boost is you know, sizable. It puts you on par with, you know, base 6-star gear almost. I do not recommend doing it for the 5-star gear, because it takes silver hammers, because it takes gold hammers and gold, and, you know, the high quality materials. If you're gonna make Super Awaken 5-star gear, you might as well just make regular 6-star gear, because of that extra boost that you get for attaching it to units that use the same typing and use the same weapon. That will already eclipse this gear right here. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that the bracelets give that extra 10% stun rate, or stun evasion, or poison evasion, and these do not. These do not. So again, is it worth using gold and silver hammers to get, you know, a little bit higher stats, but lose that 10%? In my opinion, no. Because that 10% has saved me more than once. It's not a big chance to proc, but when it does it in the most clutch moments. Just kind of like how 3 dodge works in Dokkan Battle, if you guys are familiar with that. But I don't recommend anyone try and Super Awaken their 2-star gear all the way to SA5. Either stick with the 1-star gear because it's super cheap, or just work on getting actual, you know, base 6-star gear, and then begin Super Awakening that as you get to that point. Alright, to end off the video, I'm going to go over kind of the strategy that I'm going to do on awakening my gear. Now, I don't have a lot of resources because I had to use a lot to awaken all this crap, and the 4 stars, and then these 2, so I need to go farm towers some more. But, you know, once I have the materials and once the shop resets tomorrow and I can buy more of the discounted ones, what I personally am going to do first is I'm going to awaken the HP bracelets, because they do not have a typing restriction like the coats, they don't have a weapon restriction, character restriction like the weapons do. They are universal, everyone gets more HP. Now, this is, again, what I'm going to do personally. You can all do your own thing, but I'm going to do like 5 bracelets. So I have the one that's already down here, and then I'll do 4 more. And because I'll put in the description, I'll put the giant list of stat gains and material costs for Super Awakening 4, 5, and 6-star gear. That will be in the description. It's a very, very long list. But you get the biggest boost of stats on your first Super Awaken. So when you first do it and you first get that first star, you get the biggest boost there. And then everything in between to the final star is a flat boost that is so much lower. Like, here we go. So I'll just put this up here. So let's go down to the 6-star stuff. So 6-star stats for weapons, a max rolled 6-star weapon has 419 attack. When you Super Awaken it, it gets 120 points, up to 539. And then for the next 4 rolls, it's plus 40. Plus 40. 120 and then plus 40. And that holds true for all gear. So 6-star armor, 990. 1278 is a plus 288, and then everything gets 100 after that. And then for 6-star accessories, 215, up to 719 points to 3233, and then it's plus 240. Even for the 5-star weapons and 5-star gear, you can see that you get the biggest buff on the initial roll, and then everything in between is, you know, okay, but not great, until the final level you do get, you know, a sizable bump. But since we can't do that for 6-star gear because we don't have access to more platinum hammers, we can only go to this level right here. So at that point, I think that I'm going to work on awakening my bracelets for more HP for my characters, and then I'll start working on the weapons. And as for the weapons, and then eventually the jackets, I'm going to work on the units that are always on my team. Units that are mainstay supports, mainstay DPSs. So the first 3, the most important ones that I will be working on first, is Gazel Dorgo, Dark Milim, and Earth Milim. So I've already got Dark Milim's Claw. And why? Because they give the protection meter, and they are always in the supporter slot, and I never ever change them. Therefore, they will benefit from having increased stats, whether or not they're in the battle slot or they're supporting, because that protection trait is honestly the best thing in the game. And I cannot stress enough how important it is for people to get dupes of Gazel and get dupes of Earth Milim. And if you have Dark Milim, her banner's over, the meta is over, the rerun banner is gone. If you have Dark Milim and you struggle to get protection gauge, maybe put some dupes into her. Maybe put some shards that you got from the shop that reset just recently. Because having over half a protection meter full at the start of battle is seriously game-changing. So, that is who I'm going to work on first. So this 6-star sword for Gazel, this Earth Claw for Milim, they will eventually be up to the same Super Awakened 4 level, alongside their corresponding, coat. So Earth Coat, Light Coat, Dark Coat, and then these will just be universal. Because these are universal. I feel like having a bigger pool of HP is more helpful than having a slightly bit more attack stat. Because, as you can see, the gain, in the description, you'll see that the gain you get for weapons is not tremendous. It's decent, but not tremendous. Let's, yeah. So 419, if you go all the way up to SA4, 659. It's a good third, but, like, the HP pool, 719 points, 240, 240, 240, so it... not quite double, but almost. I feel like this will help me more in the long run than this, because my units already hit hard enough with their normal 6-star weapons. Having them do extra is just, icing on the cake, but I'd rather have them have more HP. But again, that's just what I'm going to do with my gear first. You are fully free to follow whatever path you want to do. Maybe you don't have Gazel and Dark Millum, Earth Millum. You have different units that are mainstays. As far as units that I will work on after them, will probably be Space Rimuru and Wind Millum, because they are the most common supporters and the easiest buffers. Space Rimuru's attack buff, Wind Millum's ult buff. Very, very basic support buffs. And then I'll work on Fire Millum, and I guess I'll start there. It's a lot of units to do right now with limited materials. But that's what I'm going to do. Let me know in the comments what your plan for Super Awakening gear is. If you have a set structure that you're going to do, if you disagree with me doing the bracelets first and you think you should do weapons first, let me know. But for now, take it easy, guys, and I'll see you later.